Hello, my beautiful internet friends. Today we're going to learn how to do a hover effect as I hover over a blog item like this. I don't normally start videos this way, if you were wondering. If you're new to this channel, I don't usually sing. That was a special little gift for you. We're gonna, as I hover over a blog item like this, a new image is going to surface. Right now this is in a blog collection page, but what you're gonna learn today, you can use it for summary blocks, you can use it for really any type of image. To show a different image as you hover over it. So let's jump into that right now. All right, so a little more of the setup here. Let me just show you. We're going to jump into our pages area right here. This is in a blog collection page. So what I'm going to be doing today, the code is going to work for a blog collection page, not necessarily a summary block or anything else, although you can adapt the code for whatever you want. And you'll know you're in a collection page because you have this little pin tip icon right here, and that's what we're on. So these items right here. So as I hover over this Max Reynard Judd V10, I want a different image of the car to pop up. And this is Sam Hancock's website. He races cars and he sells race cars. He's a pretty cool dude. Check out his website as well. A little promo for him because he's a cool guy. Okay, so let's talk about what the code we're going to be doing is, what it actually does, and then how do we install it on our website. So here I've created a little code pin. This is just a place where we can look at the code very intently. We can sort of study what's happening so we understand what we're going to be doing in Squarespace. Because behind every Squarespace website is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So what I've done is create a container right here, just called it image container. And then within it, I have our image element. And this blue car right here, that's the source image right there. So that is what we're doing. And here's the base CSS. I've targeted our image container. I've given it just a max width. You don't really need this. I just did this so you could see it. And I've put a red border around it so it's clear what is happening. And then we have our image, which is the full width, 100% of our image container, and it is a display block. So boom, that is the base setup. So what I want to happen as I hover over our image, I want a new image to show up. So if I was to go the JavaScript route, you could dynamically insert another image element like this and just make one show up and the other not show up, depending on what you're doing. That's not really what I want to do. That seems a bit overkill. We can just do this in CSS. So let's break this into two components. One, showing the background image. That's what we want to do. And then second, hiding this foreground image. So let's start with hiding the foreground image. What I want to do is set up we're going to type in our image container. And then on our hover, we'll use our hover pseudo selector. When we're hovering over the image, I want my image element, which is within it. I want my image element, the opacity to go to 0. And so now this should work. As I hover over it, it just disappears. Great. However, let's make it fade out a little bit. So instead of on our hover effect, just on a regular image, I'm going to give this a transition property for our opacity of 0.3s, and we'll give it a curve of ease, an easing curve. So it eases out and eases back in. So that's really friendly. That's really nice and subtle and smooth. Change this, this is 0.3 seconds. Change it to whatever. If you did 3 seconds, it'd be like crazy slow. So 0.3 is typically what I go with. So we'll leave it there. So now we've hidden it. That's great. So now let's add an image behind it. So we can use this great background image property. You can do this on any element. It's kind of cool. So we're going to type in on our image container. Remember, the container that is holding our image on our background image container. I'm going to say background image, and we'll give it a URL of, and then I'm just going to grab, and you can just grab any picture. This is the URL of the image that I want to show on the background. So as I hover over, now it looks all black. Why does it look all black? Because we haven't formatted it. The default size of all of your images is going to be the full size of the image. So it's actually there, but it's like stretched. This is just the top left corner of the image. So let's give our background image a background size of cover. We just want it to cover the container. And there we go. So now that is working. Okay, so this is the general setup. We want to target the container that the image is in, and then we want to add a background image to that container. And then as we hover over the container, we want to hide the main image, and this background image will just automatically be there because it's in the background and it'll show. So that is what we're doing over on our website. So let's jump into our custom CSS area, design, custom CSS. We're going to put it right here. So all we need to do is what are the targets we want to do for each one of these images and the page itself. So luckily I have put together the code. So I'm just going to copy this. You can grab this on my website and just paste it in, and we'll just sort of talk about what we're doing. So this, we're targeting the section. We're just targeting the specific section we want to be doing this to. So I'm going to grab our, this is a tool by Heather Tovey that allows you to grab the section IDs. It's called the Squarespace ID Finder, super helpful. And I'm going to replace our section ID up here with the specific section on this web page. So now any code between these two brackets is going to be only applied to this one section right here. Now I've set up some defaults, so this is going to be for every single item. This is our transition opacity. This is a opacity of 1 for every item, and I've added in this image wrapper, our background size of cover, because we just need that on every single element. This can be on everything. So what we want to be different for each one of these blog items is we want a different background image. And really that's it. That's all we want. So, but there are two things we need to change. We need to change whichever one we're targeting. We need to make sure we're targeting the right one. And then we need to change the background image. So first, how should we target? Squarespace, actually, there's a way we can target it pretty easily just by the URL of each blog post. So I'll show you what I mean. If I jump into this, as I clicked on that blog item, the URL for this page is on the blog item. So we can target it using right up here, this /cars right there. So be sure to get this first / too as you're copying it. So I'm going to copy that, copy. And we're just using our attribute selector right here. Anything that has an href containing this URL, we want to change. And let's hit save and let's go back to that page. We want the image to go to 0, the opacity of the image to go to 0 as we hover over it, and we need to add in a new background image. And you see we haven't added in a new background image, so nothing's there. But as I hover over it, it's disappearing. So we're doing the right thing so far. So I can just add a new background image, a new image URL right here. I can just hit this Manage Custom Files, and I've already uploaded an image right here. You can just hit this Add Images if you want to add your own, or you'll need to, so just add your own. So I'm going to highlight this new image URL. I don't need any of that. You can delete it and keep my cursor between these two double quotes. And then as I hit this Manage Custom File, click on that, and that URL for that image will be inserted wherever your cursor is. And now as I hover over, boom, we have our second image. So now what you got to do, this is like the template. This is the template. So you just got to copy this and do that same process for each one of these different cars or blog items on your page. So I just copy this, and before our closing tag, remember we're targeting this entire section. So before our closing tag, let's add another. And you'll probably want in this comment right up here to comment whichever blog item the code corresponds to. So this one is the 2004 Nasamax. This next one would probably be the 2005 MG Lola. And just change it all out as you go. Be sure to change the href and the background image. Okay, so that is the basic setup. That's the basic code you need for our blog collection pages. On my website, if it's not there already, I will try and add the summary block. If you're using this for a summary block, if you want to do this effect on a summary block, I'll add the code you need for there. It might be a little bit different than what we have here. But there we go. I hope that helps. And as always, let me know if you have any other questions. Take it easy.